Good afternoon, right?
Yes, good afternoon, Greg. Good to see you too.
As we film this for the beautiful month of August. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Wow, where's the month gone, right? Seems like...
Unreal.
See, it seems like there's less than 24 hours in the day. I don't know if you feel that way, but it's like, damn.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Definitely. Yeah.
How does it work like that, right? Yeah.
I know. The universe is shrinking. I don't know.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. So let's look back on this recent road trip to the Miss Sallie House.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of weird that they call it that just because one girl was probably there and she died within whatever amount of hours and the whole house is just named after her instead of like the Dr. whoever house, you know?
Yeah, or Atchison, the Atchison house or something.
Right. But you figure the doctor, okay, he's lived there for years and years and years, but Sally's there for like less than a day, and then suddenly it's her house.
Yeah, well, apparently she's the one haunting it, I guess, so...
Oh, is that how it works, huh?
I guess so.
Okay. Yeah. I'll buy that, I guess, right? Yeah. So that was it was a good trip, I thought.
It was, yeah.
You got your sleep in, so that was good. Beforehand.
Tried. Yeah. Yeah, it was good. I had really high hopes going into it, and, I guess that's probably part of my problem is that apparently, it's supposed to be deemed one of the most haunted places, in the country, and so I got my hopes all up and I got all excited, and then I think that's part of my problem because, then it's like, well, if something like amazing doesn't happen, then I'm like, oh. So I have to like go into investigations not expecting like a ton of stuff to happen, and then honestly it was great. It was one of my favorite places to investigate. The place was very, very well kept up. It was beautiful in there. Everything was clean. There was a working bathroom bonus. Like all that stuff. They give you the code to the door and you're good to go. You can kind of go whenever. It was wonderful. It really was a wonderful place to investigate.
Yeah. Just thinking about when you were talking about it, that it sounded more like a campground or something, right? You reserve it, and then they give you a lot number. You go in, and you have fun, and then see you tomorrow. And then they come in and clean it up and go. But it was very well done.
Yes.
The only thing I was thinking about was, do you think you're still a jinx? Because it seems like you always talk about yourself like that.
Yes, I do. I don't know why, but it does seem that way. Although you had a pretty good experience that you didn't realize until after you got home. So there was that, and then
True.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't really catch. I mean, other than like the REM pod going crazy, I really didn't hear much of anything. Although I'm excited to go through the footage. I haven't done that yet, but I'm excited to start.
Yeah.
So.
Because you had you ran audio going to the downstairs, was it? Is that what you stuck something right inside the door there?
Yeah, so I had my DVR going right on the other side of the basement door going down to the basement. And then I had my DVR on my arm, and then when that ran out of memory, then I grabbed another DVR. So I have like 3 DVRs to go through.
Yeah. Just so people know, you couldn't go down in the basement. There was this...
Yes.
Well, you could step maybe a foot inside the door, right? Before there was a little caution tape or something. Mm-hmm. Then, Jen, tell them what they saw. Once we figured out where the light switch was to actually look down into the basement, which I was hoping there would be because I've seen too many videos that had, neat stuff down there. I'm like, God, okay, is it still down there? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, so I should send you that picture, actually. And then, so basically, there was this big spider, and it looked like a tarantula, and I kind of blew it up a little bit to kind of look. Now, granted, it didn't move all night, so maybe it was fake from one of the people that had been, last people that had gone down there, maybe just put a fake spider down there, I don't know. But this spider was huge, huge. It was like a huge tarantula down there. And I blew up the picture, and it looks real. It really does look real. It doesn't look like a rubber fake one. So I'm like, oh my. It was so freaky.
Oh my God, so it really... See, that was the whole thing of it. It's like once I figured where the lights were and to actually see down there, and I'm like, holy crap, you know, I'm like, that's when I asked you to give me the camera so I could kind of zoom in on it to actually see what it was, and I'm like, okay, it looks pretty good from here, but yeah, what's 50, 75 feet away, right? Yeah, anything looks good at that.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, just shut the door, we'll go on and do our investigation or whatever, and then that was like the first thing back down stairs from what we were doing. You wanted to go look at that, and I'm like, oh my God, please don't look. Because I don't even want to know that it's not there, and it could be like somewhere else, but then you're like, yep, it's still there, and I'm like, oh God, and then I'm like thinking, is it moving, or is it like slowly climbing up the stairs or something, or...
I know, it was terrifying, that spider. I don't know, again, I don't know if it was real, but it didn't move all night, so thank God it didn't move all night, because then I would have been like, let's go, because I am not going to be sleeping on, like, a couch or something, and then, like, having that thing, like, wake up to it or something. That was nuts.
But there was some next to it, wasn't it? Was it like a bird or something? Like a...
Yeah, it was like this bird thing. It looked like it was on its side, but that almost looked fake too. I don't know. I don't know. So, yeah. Because
it looked like somebody cleaned the floor off, and somebody took a very nice stencil of like an ancient falcon from like the, you know, King Tut days or something, and sprayed it on there, and I'm like, huh? What's the significance behind this? Is it like, so you can't go down there anymore, at least you have something to look at while you're trying to see if there's anything down on the floor, or what, or... Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was definitely interesting, for sure.
Right. And it's just like one of those, I never knew the town was Amelia Earhart's. Amelia Earhart's what? Is that her, you think it was her birthplace, or was that like a place?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the significance of Amelia Earhart is with Atchison. Maybe it was like maybe her birthplace or where she grew up, but there's a ton of stuff about Amelia Earhart there, which was actually really neat. Museum and all that.
Yeah.
So.
Just to back up, when we got into town, what, like maybe 5-ish, 4 in the afternoon-ish or whatever, they were like, okay, well, we need to go to Walmart, right, to get a few things. So we go out to Walmart, and they're like, oh, great, we'll just come back by the hotel to, might as well get the rooms now, right, instead of worrying about tomorrow. So everything is set. Yep. And it's like right next to the hotel, it was like, what, the Amelia Earhart Museum or something. It wasn't like this huge... I'm like, okay, this is interesting, and everything's on a hill there, and I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah,
I'm like,
so hilly.
Yeah, do I have like a low drive? And yeah, okay. So once we got all that done, it's like, whew.
Yeah.
Then a real throwback to the 50s or whatever, with all the brick streets and that. Might have to find a way around better next time.
Yeah, they were kind of bumpy. They were kind of cool, but they were pretty bumpy. Yeah.
Right. Which street doesn't have bricks? Let's go on that for a while. Yeah.
Google Maps, no bricks.
Yeah. Is that an option on there? That'd be kind of nice to know. Nice touch, but not so much on the car when you still got to drive 5 or 6 hours back, right? But,
yeah.
But yeah, just walking into the place, I think we've been to way too many that are just like, oh, okay, this is kind of neat. Well, I kind of pictured, even going in, it would be about the same time frame maybe as Villisca-ish, you know, that 1900s or whatever, and I'm like, okay, that sounds to be about right, because I kind of expect it to be like the same size and condition that was, you know, but once you kind of looked at the outside of the place, it's like, okay, that's kind of, it's interesting looking for sure, you know, it being all brick and whatever. And
Yeah.
then you walk in, you're like, wow, this is Novaliska.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah, it was. It was so well done. It was so pretty in there. Like the carpet was super nice, and it really was like super clean. It was great. It really was a really nice place.
Right, yeah, and I guess you said at one point they added on anyway, didn't they? Somehow that, what would that have been, like maybe the kitchen area and the second floor to that area itself? Because that wasn't originally to the house, was it?
Yeah, so I was reading through like the messages in that book, and yeah, there was a message in there about a guy who said that originally was not the layout, I guess, of the house, and that the kitchen, I guess, was an add-on, and then like everything above that, I guess, was an add-on.
So I guess it really wouldn't have been a lot, but I guess there's still some, I guess, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, yeah, I guess because we kind of thought it's like, well, where do they have the kitchen then? You know, or
Yeah.
was that in the living room or maybe where the dining room area was and just never had a dining area? Or
Maybe, I'm not sure. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see like the original layout, like the blueprints and stuff of it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Never ran across that per se.
Yeah. No. I don't know if they'd have that at like the library or the like a historical society or like City Hall, or I don't know.
Yeah, it would be kind of interesting, especially when, you know, they thought I was like, I don't know, it was just kind of weird. I thought there would have been more direction by them or whatever, instead of them just saying, okay, you know, you paid your fee or whatever, here's your number, and okay, have a good day. And it's just, yeah, what? You know, what if something happens? Usually, because I guess I keep thinking of Edinburgh, you know, because it's like, oh, here's the number of the police, and here's my number if something happens or you get locked out or something, or... And they're just like, well, you know, okay.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, emergency number would probably be good. I mean, I guess there's always 911, but just something that maybe isn't, if it's not just an emergency. I mean, because we had two groups of people come that night, and like, you know, it was so funny. The first people that came, they just, like, I waved at them when they looked through the window, and they're like, oh my God, and then they like ran away. And then, you know, and then the second group of people, it was like in the middle of the night, and they all had flashlights, and it was just like, okay, you know, what happens if, I mean, you know, if it's not an emergency, but just maybe contact like the non-emergency line, say, hey, you know, we got some people, I don't know what they're going to do, I don't feel like super safe, you know, kind of thing, so.
Yeah, it's like one of those, I think you were just kind of hoping that they would leave right away, you know, shine their flashlight a few times, like, okay, that's us, let's go, or whatever. But no, it just seemed like they were there, and then they were there, and then it's like, come on.
They wouldn't leave for like 20 minutes or something, or half hour. I'm just like, oh my gosh, you guys, come on.
And that was the first time I saw you starting to get a little agitated.
Yeah.
Like, "Argh."
Yeah, I did, and that is one thing. I did, I guess, experience there. I didn't really experience much there, but I was, like, really mad. Like, I got really angry and frustrated, like, and I don't normally, like, get like that on investigation, so I don't know why, like, but I don't know if it was something there influencing me, but I was, like, really kind of pissed off. And I was just, you know, like, there was nothing going on, and, you know, and I'm just like, all right, fine, you know what, if you're not going to do anything, then I'm just, you know, done. And I go back and think about it, and I'm like, that's not me. Like, I'm not usually that angry, so I don't know, but, yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, because when do you think that started to happen? Because it's probably not right off, right? But
No, it wasn't right off, no. Maybe towards the middle of the night.
Okay.
Ish.
I just thought you were mad because I fell asleep on the couch and that's where you wanted to be. But no, I thought...
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but yeah, it's like... I I don't know. It's just, it always seems like I always have to take that little bit of nap in the afternoon, or what, around 11 it seems like. Seems like that was like Velisca too, or whatever. That was kind of strange unto itself, but I just remember kind of what, maybe there was like, what, after, I think it was like after 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours? Something like that. But I remember I just kind of woke up there and I was just kind of like looking around. I'm like, okay. And then I saw you sitting at the table and you were like doing something, and then obviously would spit something out and you'd look at it and look back, and I'm like, holy cow, because I just got that idea. It's like, man, she's ticked. She's just ticked off. I'm like, what the? Okay,
Yeah.
you know, I'm just, do I even want to say anything? Because it just looked, I thought she was going to pull like one of the Exorcist things out of me. What do you want? And I'm like, hi.
Yeah, I was actually really frustrated at that point. That just, you know, like, and like it was just super quiet, and I was just waiting for something, like anything, and like nothing. So I look at the Ovilus when I go off, and it's like, yeah, all right, whatever, and then go back to my phone, because I was on my phone, just listening, just waiting, trying to hear anything, and I didn't hear anything. So yeah.
Unreal, yeah, because then I think it being 1, 2 in the morning or whatever ish, so then we go up and do a little more, make sure everything's still recording, and for some reason your one camera never likes to record more than 2 minutes at a time or something.
Yeah. Plugged in even.
Yeah. So we went around and there, played there. But then it seems like once we came down again, or after, I don't know, what, couple hours-ish or something, I don't know. And then suddenly I sit down again, and then I pass out for another hour, and I'm like, what the hell? And then Jen's sitting over in the nice chair or whatever, doing something again, but she's got that look again, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm just going to start slowly packing up a little bit here, and how you doing? Because I'm just like, I don't know if I want to say anything, or, you know, just kind of, you know, and by that time I was getting to like maybe 6 in the morning, kind of getting light out-ish, and it's like, okay, maybe can at least snag about 3 or 4 hours at the hotel, getting a nap before coming home. But then it's just like, wow, I'm like, holy cow, that. So I thought once we'd went upstairs and did a little things, like, yeah, loosen things up a little bit, but then we just came back downstairs and you were just like, "Arr."
Yeah, I was
or
so
had that look,
irritated.
and it was like, wow.
Yeah, and again, that's like, you know me, that's not really, I don't get mad in investigations. I might, and if I do get a little frustrated with like maybe some non-activity, I don't usually express it. I'm just usually maybe quiet, or I think of it in my head like, gosh, you know, come on, I wish something would happen or whatever. But I never like voice it like that, so I don't know, it was just kind of weird. But
Yeah. Because usually sometimes you'll throw out like, hey, is anybody here making noise or whatever, but Jen was pure silence. You know, you could hear a pin drop, which is so weird that I don't know why. You know, it seems like every place we go to, it's like so quiet. Anywhere. Whether it be Edinburgh, or whether it be Velisca, or whether it be Malvern, or, well, I guess Malvern we heard something one time, but that, wow, one time out of what, 10 or something, right?
Yeah.
But I don't understand. There's never no noise. I don't.
I know. I'm a jinx, Greg. I'm a jinx.
Oh, that's it, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I'm assuming in that book they talked about, you know, some probably door shutting or something, and.
Yep, they heard noises. In fact, one of the people said that they walked, like they came in, like there was a lot with the radio. And that's one reason kind of why I wanted to mess with the radio a little bit. Because a lot of people said that like they'd come in and then like the radio would just be playing on its own. And then like they'd shut it off and then they'd leave for a while and come back and then the radio would be on again. And a lot of people were mentioning like, well, this one person mentioned that like the freezer door opened on its own. Like they went in and they noticed the freezer door open and they're like, what? And then they shut it and then they went back into the living room or whatever. And then they went back in and the freezer door was open again. So like, you know, doors just opening and shutting, like the radio acting all weird. So I was like, well, maybe, you know, let's just wait and see, you know, that weird clock that moved, you know, when it wasn't even working and all that. So I'm like, all right, I took it like right when I got there, took a picture of the clock, and I'm like, okay, for reference, here is a picture of the clock in case it moves. That way I have proof that it was not that earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I don't know. It's hard to. Now I'm starting to think like Ghostbusters or Ghost Hunters, right? You know, whatever. A lot of those doors seems like they were fairly loose or whatever, and anything could have popped them or whatever the case. So it's like, I think unless you actually have like something actually on it to like, hey, here's the, like the people did with the clock. It's like originally I took a picture. Now look at it, and I did mess with it to some extent. It seems like that's what it'd have to be like with a door, unless you've actually filming the door of it, because it seems like the vacuum of a lot of things pop things open, because it's like I've done that before. It's like my freezer door will be popped open because I slammed the refrigerator shut or something. It's like, oh my god, how'd that get open? But it's like, okay. But
there's that, yeah.
But I didn't even experience anything with walking halfway up the stairs and the Zach effect or whatever. And I remember seeing another video where somebody put a ball on the steps. I put a ball on the steps. I mean, come on. It was just like, okay, well, we did the flashlight thing. That was kind of... I still don't know what to think of that to any extent.
I don't either. No,
because
I don't either.
I mean, it didn't roll, so it would turn on, but it would obviously turn on and off by itself. But how it does that, you got me. But I guess it's somewhat interesting, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's something. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know what to think of that either.
So anyway, the time that, when do you think that was? Like, it was maybe about 10 when we were sitting at the table, and that's when things started to, I don't know whether they happened or whatever, but
maybe 10, 11, midnight. I don't remember exactly.
So it must have been right before I'd fallen asleep, but I'm sure you remember how cold it was there. For some reason it got cold, and it wasn't you when you turned up the air conditioning, obviously, which another nice effect here,
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't that, though. It was not blowing at the time.
And it was weird because then it talked about, because my son made a necklace, and I don't even think I made any reference to you or anything about it, but the obvious, not Lee, but the obvious 3 had mentioned a few key words about that necklace, and I'm like, ooh, shit, what the hell's going on, or crap, what's going on? That's weird.
Yeah.
There were like so many words that were kind of, then it started getting a little bit colder,
Yeah.
And I think we could kind of feel that. And that's when I kind of felt like something on my leg, but I didn't think nothing of it, and I'm like, well, what the heck?
Yeah.
It was kind of weird, so I just I brushed it a little bit, but it's obviously, when you brush your leg, there's a difference between brushing your leg and like scratching your leg,
Absolutely.
But I don't know why I never thought of it more than that, I just kind of brushed it, and I'm like, oh, okay. But then I don't know why I thought about it, 6, 12 hours later. It's like, I wonder if I did get a scratch, because it's obviously one of those that I never realized I get a scratch or a cut or whatever, till there's at least 5 pints of blood leaking somewhere. Oh yeah, I did get a cut, didn't I? Yeah. But there was a scratch, and it was like, my God, it was about the same area where I thought I had felt something. I'm like, no, down there is where I thought I had felt something before when I had mentioned that, but the scratch was above it, on the leg, up more towards the knee or whatever. And I'm sure you haven't seen it, which I've thought about sending to you, but I don't know how often you check your email. But besides the point, so that was kind of weird unto itself then. That actually happened, and I'm like, I don't know. It's a far-fetched, maybe possible thing, but it's known to happen there, and I know I didn't do it, so it's like, I'll take it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's something, right?
Yeah.
Now listen back over the audio. It'd be nice to say, did you feel that scratch I got? Yeah, but yeah, right. You're actually going to hear something like that, right? But
yeah. That'd be amazing. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did the puck actually work for you during that time? I know that's usually been a good one.
Usually. It was so random this time. I didn't really. I mean, I got Sun. Let's see. We got we got SON on the Ovilus 3, and then when I tried the puck, then I got My Son, and I'm like, wait. So that's when I told you. Remember, I'm like, Greg, I think something's trying to get a hold of you.
Oh.
And then I thought maybe it was like your mom or something. And so I'm like, hey, I think something's trying to get a hold of you. Do you remember
That's
that?
weird. Yeah, but was it on your puck that said My Son? Or was it like my, and then just because it obviously said son, you thought My Son? How was
I'm pretty
it?
sure it was my son, so like my SON. So I'm like, okay, weird, because like we got Sun SON on the Ovilus, and then My Son on that, and I'm like, all right, something's weird, and it wasn't that far apart. So I'm like, okay. I thought maybe someone was trying to get a hold of you.
You know, that's what's kind of weird, because I think that's when it came up about the other stuff, the My Crystal thing. Wasn't it right around that? Wasn't it around that time?
Maybe. I don't, gosh, my sense of time is so skewed.
So that might be kind of good to look back. I kind of thought it might have been around that time, so I'm wondering. I don't even know how, but maybe they knew that My Son made that pendant for me.
Oh, maybe.
And I'm like, huh? But that's just weird that it actually came out with words that were relevant. Usually there's no relevant, right? Venus and Pluto and, right?
10, Mercury.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure we could pick out 1 out of 10 words that could fit, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of people find that out too, so that's interesting unto itself.
Yeah. But there was a lot of random words, and there's always going to be random words.
Right, right.
But sometimes it seems like the Ovilus or even my puck will hit pretty, right on more often than usual. So that's when I kind of take more of a, like, well, what do we got? What's going on?
Yeah.
More listening, think about it a little more. And
right.
try to figure it out, yeah.
But I think that probably was, to me, pretty much, I would say the highlight of the day, pretty much, which is kind of sad. But then I think later on at 2 or 3, when we went up to the nursery room or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I got the SLS camera out and just kind of scoped around or whatever. And I want to think that was where, when I think I first walked into that room, there was a stick figure right in front of the window, but then once I acknowledged it, it jumped out the window. Wasn't that what telling you that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
And it seems like every time when we're in the nursery room, there were like the 2 figures, kind of like they were just, one was standing outside that room's door, and the other one was standing by the bedroom, kind of, I guess maybe the big bedroom or whatever, the master bedroom. Mm-hmm. In that way, and it's just like they were just kind of standing there looking at us, which was kind of weird. That you would think, why don't you just come on in? Or it's like, I think I was telling you that before on the way back. It seems like, do we like scare them out of their room or something? That they're just kind of like, well, once you leave, we'll go back to our room or something. But it just,
yeah, I hope not.
It's just kind of weird that. And I think the only thing when we get going was a little REM pod action, which is always kind of exciting, that
was crazy. Yeah, they totally loved that thing. They were all about the REM pod, which was awesome. And it seemed pretty intelligent, actually. Just like, hey, can you, like, write that up for, if this or that, and it'd go off,
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
And I think you took your puck up there too, didn't you?
Yeah.
And it seems like your puck just kept getting kicked off line or something, and just like the whole night, it's like it didn't want to connect whatsoever. So that was kind of weird, because that usually doesn't happen. Usually, once you're connected, you're good for a while, and then hours later something would happen. But yeah,
it did. Yeah, that was weird. It usually doesn't do it that often. Yeah, like once I'm connected, I'm usually good. Sometimes it might kick me off once in a while, but yeah, like that night it seemed like it's just like, okay, I guess you guys don't want to talk to me.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. There was nothing happened with anything of the dolls. You know, none of them fell over. None of them had an EMF reading or nothing. And that, so weird, you know, for a place that's supposed to have some demonic figure or something in there, or it must have been in the basement because it didn't come out whatsoever. But like we said, it's still a cool place, and who knows that it's going to be sad that it's going to come down to like some cool audio that something was sitting at the table with us talking the whole time or something, or some various camera somewhere where there's some type of a shadow that
that would be sweet.
That just doesn't want us to see them or hear them at any given time.
Yeah. And I don't know if like that was what was playing with me. Maybe I was feeling their frustration that we were in their space, and I took it and like went another way with it in my mind. I don't know, but yeah, that frustration was weird. And then, so like honestly, I actually cannot wait to start going through my footage, because so I took everything, I took everything off, all my cards, SD cards and everything, and I transferred them all to my external hard drive. And before I delete anything, any of the originals off of my media, I usually like spot check stuff to make sure that it transferred okay and it's not corrupted.
Right.
So I was kind of spot checking some stuff, and on each thing that I checked, within like the first 5 to 7 seconds, there was an EVP on there. So so I'm like, awesome! I can't wait to go back and watch this and listen to all this footage.
Really? So what? Do you remember which ones they were? Was that the one that was okay? Maybe the DVR like that was heading to the basement, or was one of the ones you were wearing? Because I guess those are the only two choices. But
yeah, so the one from the basement, I checked the very first recording, the very first file, and yeah, like right away there's an EVP on it within like the first 5 seconds. So I was like, sweet. So yeah, I can't wait to go back and watch all that and listen to all that. Yeah.
I know, because everybody else has something happening within the first 5 minutes. But yeah, it's like audio stuff with them too, and they don't even know what the heck's going on either. And it's like, is that how they hook you in? Is that how these places work? Right?
After the fact.
Yeah, that you get all these people writing some really cool stuff in their books where there's, oh my God, there's a bump or whatever. But
yeah.
Probably
it was interesting reading through that. But
I know it's weird that you didn't read them too much, because usually that's when I like listening to my audio. It's like, oh, this is kind of boring, but at least Jen's reading some of the comments from 3 months ago. There was some we heard something in the attic. It's like, oh, cool.
Yeah. It is kind of fun to listen to read like what other people felt, and there were some in there that they're like, nothing happened, it sucked. But then there were, more often than not, people saying, oh my God, this happened. One person even wrote something along the lines of like, I'm so terrified I can't even write. And it was like scribbles. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So it's just cool to read that. But.
And then, of course, it's one of those, I remember because you were showing that to me, because that was about the only thing they wrote. But then it's like, you think about it now, it's like, I bet they're like, go wait till somebody reads this one, that.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope it's sincere, but yeah.
You would hope.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, folks, don't get us wrong. I mean, it's a really cool place. It's a really good adventure.
Yes.
And, you know, hopefully we find something to, yes, this is going to be some good stuff. Can't wait to go back one of those, but I think we're kind of more interested in going to the villa now. Isn't that what it was? The villa something or
yeah, something like that.
But
that looked sweet.
But it's another place owned by the town, so since it was such a good experience, you know, working that way, knowing that you don't have to meet somebody there and you don't have to, you know, sign your waiver to this and whatever, and somebody's over watching you or whatever the case may be. But it's just kind of nice to just kind of go at your own pace. If you want to go for a couple hours, that's cool, you know. So I thought that's what we would kind of do, is just kind of get in there and maybe just throw stuff up and, hey, let's go get something to eat then, you know, let it roll by itself on the inside and, you know, come back at various times here or whatever, or the case may be, you know, so. Maybe something for the future, you know, so.
Yeah.
But it was a good time, so it's hopefully we'll find something good on there. I guess the next adventure awaits in a couple weeks again with one of your favorite haunts, right?
Yes, I can't, and again, I have to kind of quell myself here a little bit because I am super excited. I cannot wait to go back to Farrar. I'm so excited to go back to Farrar. But I have to kind of bring it down a notch a little bit, I think, and maybe not get my expectations so high. But that's going to be really, really hard to do for me because I am so looking forward to going back there. So, but I have to remember, don't get your hopes up. Just go in, and whatever happens, happens. So I got to keep telling myself that. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting because I don't even know if I guess the one thing that got me about the Farrar thing was I did set a camera up in the maintenance room, I guess maybe, or janitor's room, and it seems like those places always seem to be the hauntedest, whatever, in any type of place, whether it be Edinburgh or there or wherever, but it always seems to be the most rodent infested or whatever, as far as birds or mice or whatever, so it seems like they're always making some type of a noise or something going on. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Because that's what I've always had at I think it was especially there. It's like, oh, it must be coming dawn because you can hear the birds outside and them leaving the chimneys and making noises here and there. It's like, ah.
Yeah. There's that. Yeah. Especially Edinburgh, it seemed like the boiler room was a hot spot for bird noise activity. Yeah. And it was weird because it was every, to a T almost, every minute or something, then they chirp and then stop, and then they chirp and then stop, and then chirp and then stop, and it was oh my goodness, you guys go to bed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, just waking up. Very good. Okay, fine, thanks.
Yeah.
But, aggravating. But it'd be interesting to see if you still hear those voices in the auditorium.
That was awesome.
The gym.
Yes. That was really, really awesome.
And who knows, maybe there's something will happen at midnight, right, on the stage or whatever.
I'm going back, man. I'm going back to that stage at midnight. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. Because I know you were pretty much waiting for something to happen. It's come on, it's midnight, let's go, let's do it.
Yep. Egging them a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we did still get some good EVPs out of it and stuff like that, so that'd be interesting.
For sure.
For another return, so.
Yes, definitely.
That'll be for next month. They'll just have to wait for the review on that, right?
Yes. I'm sure it'll be good.
Right. Any final comments there, Jen?
Not really. Just, as always, thank you guys for listening and, being interested in the paranormal, and, it's such a fantastic hobby and interest, and, I hope everyone gets as much out of it as we do.
Very good. Well put. I mean, how can I add anything more to that? That's excellent. All right, Jen, till next time, we'll talk about Farrar.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
Until next time. Bye, everybody.
Yeah. See you later.
Yep.